The Story of Moses in Exodus by D.J. Williams and Tim Brown. When Moses was born, the Hebrews were enslaved in Egypt. The Pharaoh was afraid of them because they thought that they might take over his country. So he ordered that all the Hebrew boys would be killed at birth so that they would not grow up and fight against him. To save Moses, his mother made a plan. She hid him in a basket by the side of the Nile River. One day, the daughter of the Pharaoh came by to wash by the river. She saw the baby Moses sitting in the basket, flowing down the river, and she decided that she would keep him as her own. Moses had grown up as an Egyptian prince, but had never forgotten his Hebrew roots. One day, Moses was walking by, and he saw that an Egyptian guard had beaten a slave to death, a Hebrew slave, and he lost his temper. And when he had lost his temper, he had gone around and killed the Egyptian guard. Moses knew he could not stay, and so he traveled and traveled into the desert until he came upon a burning bush. And that burning bush had told Moses to go back and free the Jewish slaves, for that burning bush was God, and God's word Moses did. Moses went to the Pharaoh to ask him to set the Hebrews free. Pharaoh did not want to lose his slaves. He would not let them go because they worked on his grand buildings. Awful things began to happen in Egypt. There were 10 plagues. Before each one, Moses had warned the Pharaoh what would happen. Moses told him the disasters had been sent by God, and if the Pharaoh did not release the Jewish slaves, then God would punish him more. The last plague was the worst. The eldest son in every Egyptian family, including the Pharaoh's, died. God had warned Moses to mark the doorposts of all the Hebrew houses with blood, sheep's blood, so that the houses would be safe, and the Hebrew boys would be safe as well. Pharaoh was so upset by losing his son that he said the Hebrews could leave Egypt. This event was known as the Passover. The Hebrews knew that they must leave Egypt quickly. They needed food to take with them. There was no time to let the bread rise before it has cooked. They had to take the dough as it was. Pharaoh changed his mind again and sent an army after them to bring them back. The army chased the Hebrews into the banks of the Red Sea. They would have been trapped, all but a miracle had happened. God told Moses to lift up his rod, as he did, and the waters parted to make a dry path. They were able to make their escape through the water. When the armies had reached them, the water soon collapsed, and with it took the Egyptian army as they were dead in the water. Even though the Hebrews were free, they were still in the desert. They wanted to find the land called Canaan, which God had promised to them. The journey was very long and arduous, and eventually they exhausted their resources. They were very hungry, and they blamed Moses for taking them out of Egypt. Moses told them that God would give them food, and so he did. He had told Moses to strike a rock with his staff, with his scepter, and water would come out. He had also made sure that they had food as well, by allowing a white food to be covered in the ground. Moses called this white food manna, and it tasted like honey. For the rest of the journey, the Hebrew people had eaten manna and drinking water from rock. Moses and the Hebrews, after a 3-month journey, had reached Mount Sinai. God had asked Moses to climb the peaks of Mount Sinai so that he may receive the 10 Commandments. These 10 Commandments were written on stone tablets and were meant to be the rules for the Jewish people and also for the Christians that would soon come. These stone tablets were then broken, as Moses had saw the people worshiping a golden calf. After God's forgiveness, the commandments were then written again on stone tablets, and all peace was restored with God. Thank you for watching. This was Moses in Exodus.